Okay, Adam, this is going to be kind of an overview. I'm going to use the video that you give me, kind of your highlights for the season. I'm going to use a couple different vantage points. So these are two different approaches for you right here that I have side by side. So on the right is going to be a glove side slider. On the left is going to be an arm side two seam. What I want you to notice, and some of this you're doing intentionally, but we're going to kind of talk about how we could do this a little more efficiently and what we're going to focus on this off season. So some of this is keeping in mind the fact that you're having some UCL issues. So when you have an ulnar nerve issue or anything in the UCL, your delivery is a little bit more violent in that area anyways, just because of the slot that you use and the way you come around the ball basically. So that's gonna always be a risk for you, but I think that some of the stress can be alleviated by being a little bit more consistent in terms of one side of the plate to the other. So ways that we can help you be consistent and do the same delivery but still approach both sides of the plate. So in one, you're trying to lean over and fall towards third base so that you can get arm side run. And the other, you're over exaggerating pulling or rotating around so that you can get that slider to cut for you. And the slider is the one that causes you to have the violent recoil. The arm side fall doesn't have a recoil because you just absorb that. So you just kind of fall in that direction and just absorb any recoil that you would have from over rotating. So what we'd like to do is we'd like to, one, not tip the pitch we're going to throw, right? So this works for you right now, but I anticipate this giving you problems, man, when hitters become wise of how you lean differently and how you fall differently to kind of just go with where your body positioning goes. So we don't want to ever really tip what we're throwing. And the second thing is, from a violence standpoint, when we're talking about the recoil you get with the over rotation on the slider, that's something we're going to want to keep an eye on. We're going to want to take care of. So, all right, let's start by going through the beginning of the motion. You're going to see that posture's pretty much the same, man. I like your approach. Everything's fine here. You got a wide stance. We're about to get down into a lower slot, so you got to do this. This is how you were when you left us. I do want to make sure that your upper body is always staying relaxed. Most of the time, you like to flare out the back elbow. While you're, when your adrenaline's high and stuff, you're not thinking about that so much, but you need to relax from the shoulders down. You need to relax your upper body. You need to drop your shoulders. You need to drop the tension in your arms every single time. And a lot of times you get in trouble where you don't do this. You fall back into the, I'm going to flex my arm, my back arm, and I'm going to have my elbow up and flared, and I'm just trying to throw the crap out of the ball. But you've got to allow your arm to just whip around with no tension. So keep that in mind, that your posture pretty much presets how your tension level is going to be throughout the delivery. So you need to have that be something that you're thinking about. So looser upper body is the first thing we're going to make sure you keep. Here, when you're going in through your leg lift into weight shift, everything looks pretty normal here. You have good posture. You have good hand placement. You're going to break your hands low. Everything's going to be late with your arms. It's going to be good. As you start to drive towards the plate, we're going to be cautious of how early you sink on the back leg. So we're going to be looking at that and how much you lean. So we need to lean. We need to get into the slot so that we can feel comfortable during our delivery. We need to make sure that you're not leaning too much. Like you said, you had noticed that through this video, if you look at the beginning of the season to the end of the season, there's more and more lean over, right? So you're a three-quarter guy, or a straight sidearm guy. You're not a Chad Bradford guy. We're not trying to go underhand. You know what I mean? So we want to keep that in mind, that you're going to be needing to keep your posture up a little bit. And this is going to play a role when you get into landing, man, for you to have your hips get over your front knee, for you to brace correctly and rotate. If you don't have enough height in your hips, if they're not high enough over your front knee, they're not going to be able to slide over your front leg. And so then to make up the difference, you're going to have that recoil. Basically, your knee's going to be too bent at landing. You're going to be trying to rotate. Your knee can't lock out or start to straighten on you. I don't think you're ever going to lock all the way out because of the slot that you use. But your hips can't rotate all the way around. You can't get the knee to have extension against you, your front knee to have extension against you. And so then you get that sort of absorption into the ground and then the recoil that you'll see later. So we want to avoid that. We want to keep our hips up a little bit. We want to keep our chest up just a little bit so that we can fix that issue. Now, on the left, you're going to see that because you're about to go arm side and go for run, you're going to start leaning more. All right, and you're going to stay leaned over. So as you approach, your arm slot's going to be different because what you're going to do is you're going to lean over more into delivery. So right here on the slider, you're going to see that your chest is up higher. All right, and the arm slot behind you is going to be different. So notice how you're going to get more clearance behind your head on the right view as opposed to the left view is going to have more lean. Look at the positioning of your throwing arm coming through the slot here. See how we have straight across with our throwing arm right here on the left hand side. On the left hand side, this is the positioning of your arm. On the right hand side, you'll see the hands taking over the elbow a little bit earlier. And that's strictly because of your posture. Your approach is going to be to go arm side run on the left, so you lean over a little bit more because you're going to try to fall that direction. Your arm's not going to clear behind your head as much. That's a little bit more stress on the UCL to deliver that arm, the more that we don't get in the proper positioning behind our head. And so your pectoral muscle is not going to help you out during acceleration of the arm. You're going to basically take more of the tension at your UCL and at your elbow area. And the nice part about the left side is that you're not going to get the recoil with that. But this is a difference right here in the two approaches. This is what it does. Because you're thinking about doing these two different finishes, this is the posture difference you get. I'd like to know kind of the velocity difference between when you stay upright and throw to the glove side versus when you try to go arm side run. I'd like to know what the spread is on the inside half of the plate versus the outside half of the plate. So maybe there's a way you can get that so we can analyze that. Now when you come through here, you see your leg is starting to brace up. Your front leg's starting to brace up. Okay, it's not going to straighten all the way out, but you'll see it's starting to brace up. You're coming to deliver through the arm. Your head's staying much quieter here. You're much straighter to the plate here. Okay, you're upright, right? And then you're going to come around, and here's where you're going to get that sort of recoil because you absorb into that front leg, and now you're going to just start bouncing back, right? All that energy you didn't get to use in the baseball is now coming back through your body. That's why you're getting that kick right there. And the reason it's happening on this side is because you rotated further. Your hips rotated further around because you're trying to yank that slider around, make sure it does the right action for you. Right? Now, we'd like to quiet this down, man. We'd like to finish more like right here. If you stopped right here and we didn't get the kick, this move from here to here, and the back just sort of finished down and stayed right there, if it just stayed flat. So in other words, if you didn't straighten back up right here with your upper body, I think you're going to have a cleaner finish here, a more consistent finish, one that's not so violent on your decelerator muscles as you're coming around. That's one thing we're going to keep in mind. Alright, so if you finished more clean, you stopped right there, you just kept your back bent over, and you released the tension, you just let everything hang, then you wouldn't have this karate kick coming around here and your back extending up. See the tension on your arm, how it's being yanked back right here? When we let go of the ball, man, everything on our back shoulder is the deceleration of our arm, right? And any recoil we get, the reason people don't like recoil is because that's just extra tension, extra pull on that back shoulder, okay? So we're going to want to look into that and see if we can get an easier feeling here. Now right side, man, this is what I'm talking about with the hitter sees. So I want you to pay attention to these two different approaches. This is where I'm at. If I'm throwing a glove side slider, this is what I'm looking for as a hitter. I'm yanking over towards that side of the base, right? If I'm going arm side run, this is what they see. Look at the body lean right here. Here's ball release at 1, all right? Here's ball release at 2 for the fastball. See the body lean that you have? Everything's leaning over right here. Okay, a smarter hitter is just going to go with your body. They're just going to see the way you lean with your body, and they're just going to cheat in. So I don't think this is going to be a long-term play for you, man. I know you can do it a little bit. To be fair, you're going to need to fall a little bit one way or the other, you know, to accentuate the pitch. But I don't think this drastic of a difference in release from a deception standpoint is a long-term strategy for you. The ball, I mean, in terms of the ball movement, yeah, you got that all over the place. But this tip to the hitter, where they just go with you here, and then that's not the case on the other pitch, they're just going to pick up on that and run with your body. All right? We'd rather you have more of a clean, see, like right here, if you're able to just cut it and just stay, if you're over on the right-hand side, use the right-hand side. Right here, if you're just coming through delivery, you release, and you just stopped right there. That's how you're going to get your arm side run. If we just directed you straight through that target. Where your head goes is where the ball goes, man. Where your head goes throughout the delivery is where the ball ends up. So you don't need to exaggerate so much body lean to get the ball to the other side of the plate and get the running action that you want. You really just need to drive yourself that direction, keep your head that direction. And I think the run's going to happen for you. So we're going to play with basically your finish and your strategy on one side of the plate versus the other, less so than breaking down the mechanics totally, more about body control when it comes to finishing. Your height has something to do with that and helping you clear your front leg when you're bracing and rotating. All right, so that's one way we're going to get it. Your approach when it comes to you driving in a certain direction to go from one side of the plate to the other is going to be a big part of this. And then from here, dude, I think we're going to add a third pitch. So if you watch this arm side fastball here and the run this gets and the fact that just drops under the hitter. I mean, there's no possible way that hitter's going to hit that. If you are able to do that, and then on the right side here, you can yank across the other side of the plate and get that kind of action, people don't stand a chance. But then there's two pitches here, right? So if we can get a third, a softer version of this left side, if you can get a softer version of this run right here, I think it's over. I think you're going to be in great shape. So that's kind of an overview. I touched a little bit on mechanics, more on sort of game strategy for you, man. That's going to be the basis of your off season. So hopefully that makes sense, and we'll get going as soon as you're done with your rehab and everything, and that's it, man.